Hey, we're live. It is July 4th, 2024. And I'm Shane Oglow, Rogue Trader, along with my partner, Richard Hodges.
Hi.
My partner. Yep. And we've got a bit of we're going to do a bit of a format change, considering that the market just had a giant crapola. This morning, we woke up to a bit of carnage, and it continued on over the last few hours, and we're hanging out near lows. So we're probably going to deviate from the topic we had set up. Well, we could still touch on it. We'll probably deal with the action we took this morning. And unfortunately, we didn't take any action last night. We were planning to because we got really busy and some things are going on, so we didn't. And of course, Bitcoin, the gods of trading.
Bitcoin gonna Bitcoin.
Decided to punish me, but that's okay. These types of things happen in trading. So I think a lot of people are probably freaked out right now. Always seems to happen when things go down in Bitcoin. But hopefully we can allay those fears for you and put some perspective in things. And hey, it's just another day at the office, right? So July 4th. Well, no need to do any research on that. Independence Day. Happy July 4th to all our American friends.
This is National Traitors Day in the US, isn't it?
National Traders Day?
Yes, they committed treason against the United Kingdom.
Oh, gosh. Depends on what side of the water you're from, yeah. I thought you meant trader like traders like us, not traitors. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Boy, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Interesting. So I'm just kind of looking over here to my left as we're waiting for more people to roll into the room, and I see the top two stories coming up on Deribit on the news feed are crypto market sees 295 million in liquidations across exchanges over the past 24 hours. And then, no surprise here, but German government moves over 75 million in Bitcoin to exchanges. So I didn't read any of those articles. I just saw the headline.
It's also just occurred to me that it's the national general election in the UK today.
That's right. It is, yes, because and I saw Mr. Nigel Farage was posting a comment on X about going to the polls today. So yes, big events. So of course, the US is closed today. Sorry, go ahead. Was that?
I was going to say the UK gets the choice between incompetent thieves, communists, and mad people. So.
I like that Farage guy. He can't swim. He's my man. Today's a holiday in the U.S. And I think that you were commenting to me earlier. The last three expiries, we saw some down moves right before expiry. And of course, there's no Americans today to come on board. There's no ETF buying to come and support it. So in a way, kind of a light market. Get pushed around a little bit more than otherwise would have if the U.S. is coming online. Would this have gone down so much? I don't know. Maybe, who knows? But that's something to consider. I think in the context of this whole thing. So, yeah. All right. So still a few people rolling in here. Let's take a look at the chat. Hey, Nick, good to see you. Vladimir, yup. I don't know if that's there's two A's, so I assume it's like Finnish or something where it's yup, but. Could be Jap, I don't know. Giandrea, Johannes, hey, great to see everyone. Got some questions already, of course. I'll just let everyone know we deal with questions at the end of the call. We'll leave the last, 10 minutes or so, maybe 15 minutes today. Maybe we'll have a longer Q&A session. There's a lot of questions about this or what to do or how to deal with it, or questions about how we're responding. And Richard will do a little bit of trading here and explain what we did this morning as well. So we might have a little longer Q&A session. And of course, if you're not already signed up to Deribit, in the chat, there's a link there. You can save 10% on fees. If you want to follow us and follow our live streams, which you do almost every day, sometimes we get busy, you can check us out at Rogue Trader Academy, roguetrader.academy, or on Patreon, Rogue Trader Academy. So why don't I go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at the absolute, total, and complete carnage. But you know what? Let's put this in perspective. You can see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
From July 2nd to now, that was 10%. we get a 10% move every 3 months on average in Bitcoin. Now, I suppose the interesting thing is you could say, well, you know what, if we take it from the tip up here, which is back on June 7th. So in 1 month, we've come down 20%.
Wow.
That's quite the move. And, you know, we're going to show you the our performance of the Synth Miner account, which is the account we opened for you guys, where we're trying to accumulate Bitcoin. And even though we took some drawdowns here, we recovered it quickly. Our strategy works really, really well in flat markets and rising markets because we're trying to accumulate Bitcoin. These things are going to happen. They're guaranteed to happen in Bitcoin. I mean, if I can, we can look back at a long enough chart and look at some absolute madness. I mean, you know, well, actually, we're close to the May, April, May drop that we had, but you know, we want to take a look at some. I don't need that down there anymore. I can get rid of that. Let's take a look at the daily chart to speed things up. I think we all remember. The first, fall from grace, and then the second fall from grace. So, look what we're dealing with here. It's minute in comparison. Look at this one candle, one day, one freaking 2-3 days. Like there's been some massive moves. So, if we want to put this in context, it's annoying. It's big, but it's all deal withable. I just made that word up. As long as you keep your margin under control. And look, kind of exciting. We're getting close to the unicorn. And unicorns are just good luck. So let's hope we get to the unicorn. As I mentioned there, look, we've got this back in early May, May 1st. We kind of bottomed out right here around 56.5. We didn't quite get that, did we? No, not quite, almost. So we're hovering about $1,000 below that low. And that low is the range, right? And this is the range that I've been harping on for months and frickin' months. And this is the range, right? We're literally at the bottom of the range. There's some crossover here. Some people like to consider that in markets. I'm not going to get into the technicals of it. But, if this holds, what happens? Well, and Richard and I are going to detail a little bit about our fears we have going forward and what we're preparing for. But if you remember back here, some people got beaten up on the way down. More people got beaten up on the way up. And I think that's what we're really more scared about. Everybody said, okay, fine, we capitulate. We're done. We're buying puts. We're selling calls. We're short perps. We're doing whatever the hell we're going to do, thinking this thing's going down here to low 50s. And what did it do? Oh, yeah, 64. Hello. Smash liquidation, right? So let's keep things in context. We're still at the bottom of this range. It has not broken yet. And what's my rule? I play the range until it breaks. Simple. Okay. Enough of that. There's something clever I wanted to say, but I don't remember what it was. So maybe it wasn't as clever as I thought. I think that overall, we're still happy with our performance.
Let me show you the chart.
Yeah. And actually, when you see the chart, we can put some better context behind this.
So this is the Synth Miner chart, and you can see quite a big drawdown, right? Probably the biggest one we've seen so far. Now, remember that in the early days there were some drawdowns that we didn't fully capture because we weren't sampling the data every day, and these days we're sampling much more aggressively. Yeah. So these if there's a spike down and up again, we will now see it, whereas we didn't before. But nevertheless, from plus 36% down to plus 20%, it's still up, but it's unpleasant, right? But it is what it is. Hodlers, of course, are having a bad day because they're but are underwater now, and we're doing a little bit better than them. But our strategy is essentially leverage long, and we're in a bear market. And as Shane said, we've dropped 20%. While increasing our tokens by 20%. So,
Yeah, and we can look on that chart and we see that the prior big dip there in a full recovery. That recovery only took us about a week. All we need to do is the market to flatten out for a week or two, and we fully recover.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The danger, of course, is that the market just keeps going down and down and down, and we end up at 40,000 or something. That's going to hurt. That's going to take us longer to recover. But the trick is you can roll until you're right as long as you have margin. And we're going to do other things in there too. We wouldn't just be rolling positions. We might try and get clever and short perps, or who knows what manner of things we do. But when you're selling options, sometimes it turns into a waiting game, because you've got to remember time is always on our side. So we got to use that to our advantage.
And it's worth saying that the Dirty Bird strategy that we trade on Patreon actually also had a small drawdown today. Not nowhere near as bad, but it's but that strategy is actually a lot less leveraged and a lot less long in its buyers. So for obvious reasons, but it's still still took a drawdown, right? So it broke its beautiful continuous uptrend.
And some people might be upset or annoyed, but our thinking is that we're still long-term bullish. We want to accumulate as many Bitcoin as possible. So could it hit 100 grand next year or 200 grand or whatever? Yes, fine. So, and this might be a great buy opportunity, right?
Yeah. So people aren't going to want to hear us commiserate about our losses. They're going to want to say, ask us to tell them what we're going to do about it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So what did we do? We were short, I think, a in the money put on the 5th of July, weren't we? We were hoping the market would come back and get us a better price, but it didn't. So we rolled it. So where were we? We were.
I think we went to the 19th, didn't we? It was the 12th of the 19th.
So we had the 62 put on the 5th of July. Yeah, we were short 0.2 of them. Yeah. And we had to pay 680 basis points to buy them back. And we sold actually we just rolled it straight flat to the 62K put on the 19th.
That's right.
So for a credit of about 100 basis points, so 1%, we've rolled it to 2 weeks, but we've kept the strike the same. So we're not rolling down or up, we're just rolling in the money. And this is kind of what we wanted to show you today. We wanted to show you the guts strategy, which is where you get in the money on your puts, and then you sell an in the money call against that in the money put, and it's almost as if you sold an inverse strangle, and then you try and pull the legs of the strangle apart as you roll week after week after week. So we're kind of doing that, but I don't know whether we want to write deep in the money calls down here, because if we're wrong about that and the market bounces, it could take us a long time to get those back. So what we've done is, like I say, we've sold the 0.2 of the 62K puts on the 19th of July. And these puts are so deep in the money, almost 10% in the money, that we are mentally considering them to be futures. So essentially, we think that we're long 0.1 of a Bitcoin in terms of the collateral, plus we're long 0.2 of a Bitcoin in terms of of these futures, or in the money puts. So we're essentially long 0.3 of a Bitcoin mentally. And in fact, I think there's another one here on the 12th, so it's actually 0.4. Yeah, we're long 0.4 of a Bitcoin. Now, being long 0.4 of a Bitcoin means that I'm happy to sell 0.8 of a 1x2 call spread, because I'm very happy to sell out of the money call spreads, particularly 1x2, in twice the quantity of the puts, or the futures, the mental futures. Even doing that, I'll still be long the market, because the delta of my call spreads will not be anywhere near the one delta that I am in my long Bitcoin. So we currently have we have this one position expiring tomorrow morning, which we're about to get back, I think, for a couple of basis points, unless there's a miracle between now and then. You never know. We also sold 0.2 of the 60K calls, but bought 0.4 of the cover. We did that this morning when vols were a bit higher. So I think vols have come off a smidgen now. So
half a handle or so, roughly. Yeah, maybe a little more.
And the market's moved down a bit, hasn't it, since then? So that position's in profit against the wider loss. And then we've got two in the money, so out of the money calls here on the 12th, which are getting quite low value, but not enough to kind of fully buy back. But I'm starting to think, maybe we should start rolling these these down a bit and pull in more premium. And if we're wrong and we get in the money, we don't really mind because we'll be in the money into a gut and it'll be kind of okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got lots of cover here up here to help us margin wise if we're wrong. And then on the 19th, so we've got 0.2. So we're literally 0.4 of a Bitcoin long. So we really need to be 0.8 short, right? And so this is none, 0.2, 0.2. That's 0.4. This is kind of going out. So we could almost do with selling 0.4 of a 1x2 call spread today. I don't know if I want to go all in and sell the full 0.4 right now, but certainly half of it I'm happy to do. I don't know how you feel about that, Shane.
No, I think I'm okay. Maybe not all of it, but let's do it.
So
I've got a funny feeling, and I was just going to mention that last time we had this big move down to the 56, 57 area, and a pretty violent move up quite quickly. I have a sneaky feeling I still expect it to go back up. I don't expect it to continue down. It might, but I've got a sneaky feeling we might do something like keep a range between 57 and 60 for a week. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
So should we do a 12th of July is 1 week away. The 60k calls 46 volt. I mean, it was 48. It was actually 55 at 3 a.m. today. But
yeah, hey, let's do it. If we need to roll it, we need to roll it. So
yeah, okay. Let's do 2 here. Yeah. And because we're live on air, I'm going to just push it. I'm just going to nudge it in. The market's moved away from us. Okay. There we are, filled. So we should cover it, right? So 60, 66 would be the cover. Buying 2 of those for 1 would be we sold at 115 or 110? 110.
110, I think it got pushed through because you were Mr. Impatient.
Yeah, so we'll pay 26. That's still a good, 85 net. So we'll do that, yeah?
Yeah.
Just buy 2 of these. See if we can get them at 12. No, we'll have to cross. Again, I just want to get it done.
I realized today I didn't show my slides at the beginning. And I will when you're done sharing the screen, because I do want to show our performance metrics on SynthMiner. Yep.
Oh yeah. And now I'm kind of feeling that I don't know if I want to sit and hold this call position for 22 basis points for a week, given what's happened.
The 64s?
I kind of feel as if I want to buy back the 64s and sell more of the 60s just to get more premium in to manage later. Because I'm kind of already committed to the position. I've already got a guts. It's currently a straddle in place. I'm inclined to just move that down to the 60. Given that we are long 0.4 of a Bitcoin. You okay with that?
I have a feeling that in 1 week that 60 is going to be tested no matter what. You want to do 60 or 61, or is it really semantics at that point, because we're going to have to roll it all anyways, probably?
I mean, we could do 61 if you're more comfortable with it. Yeah.
Let's smear it out a little bit.
All right. Yeah, I think that's good actually. Nice to have a spread of gamma. Don't really want to get pinned on one strike. Yeah. So we'll do 75. Oh, come on, guys.
Yeah, they don't want to fill you when you're trading live.
I think there's a general bias towards selling rather than buying at the minute in the market. So.
I think we'll get it if we let it cook for a minute. So do some more cover here. We've got.
So we've got loads of cover in place. I'm just thinking if we get this position back, that we're kind of good enough, right?
I think so.
Given that we're so deep in the money on the put, right?
Yeah.
You almost want to be selling to be delta neutral. You want to be selling like 3 to 1, but I just don't want the calls to build up, because if we do get a march up, that'll be a hell to manage.
Indeed. Why don't we try and get back those 64s right now for 22 basis points or 23? All right. So please, if anybody has any questions about what we're doing, why we're doing it, If you have questions about what the hell you should do, I'm not going to give financial advice, but we can give our opinions on things.
Yeah. Well, and it's worth just mentioning. I'm going to cross this because otherwise it's going to get boring. So we're doing this in the full knowledge that we're going to get in the money. And notice that I see that there's a question about should you roll or when and so on. Notice that we're not rolling down yet. There's still some time premium left. Oh, we're done. Filled.
Great.
There's still some time premium left in the money puts, and there's every possibility that we could get $1,000 move up, in which case we get a much better chance to roll these for time and to a lower strike. And I think from a long-term perspective, as long as we don't get a massive move down super fast, I think Shane and I are happy to remain long the market and keep fighting it, pulling in premium against these long positions until the market finally gives up and says, okay, you know what, the sell-off is over. Because I don't think either of us feel yet like there's a danger of a major correction back down to 30K, right? I mean, we could be wrong, and if we're wrong, it's going to be really painful. But I think that's our thesis at the moment.
We're just sticking with our long-term idea that the price of Bitcoin is going to appreciate. That's all there is to it. And we're going to have these up and downs. There's a lot of political things coming up in the autumn, which could really spike the price. So, this Mt. Gox thing is going to go away. In fact, I think I read an article this morning on Coin, or that was on Deribit, CoinDesk, or someone saying that they think Mt. Gox is irrelevant for Bitcoin. They thought it would really just affect Bitcoin Cash. That was interesting. So, and that could be the case. Let me just quickly share my slides. If you stop sharing your screen, Richard, just because I wanted to go through that. We were going to talk about the guts strategy. No guts, no glory. We thought that was kind of clever.
So we could change the title. I mean, we're doing well. We're preparing to be in a guts situation, but we're not. We're unprofitable trading today.
Today, yeah. And here's our numbers. So we started off at 0.0825. We're one of those. So we're up 28% from when we started, but we're down about 7% from last week in terms of the number of Bitcoin mined. Of course, the USD cash value is going to go down as Bitcoin price goes down, and we're still up annualized 30% versus 89% last week. But let's see if we get a sideways market, we're going to see that chart goes back up, or if the market goes up, we'll probably see that chart go back up for next week. If you were hodling from the same time we got into this, I think we started this on the 29th of February, you'd be down 22%, which is pretty painful. I know a lot of people are
that's on an annualized basis. So
annualized, yes.
Yeah.
Here's the chart. Well, Richard already showed you the chart. This is the Bitcoin return. So I don't need to show that anymore, but because we've already covered it. But hey, you know what? We're still up. And
you're not your usual chirpy self, Shane. You're feeling this, aren't you?
No, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Actually, I'm just tired. And when I saw you this morning, I saw you had like a red eye. I thought, my God, Bitcoin literally beat you up last night.
I don't know what's happened. I think I must have an infection in my tear duct or something. I need to go and see a doc about it. Yeah, it just suddenly flared up.
Yeah. Okay.
Enough about my health problems.
Let's get to the questions. We've got 5 minutes left. Vladimir, May 1T day when world was expecting World War III start. What?
Hang on. Are you reading questions or chat?
Oh, it's in the chat, but it's a question, or is that just a comment from Vladimir? I don't know, Vladimir. I don't know what you're talking about there. So if it's a question, let me know.
This was he mentioned this when we mentioned about the 10% drawdown per day every three months.
Okay. Right, I'll start from the top here. Question from Mo. Do you suggest a Delta 10 for weekly short calls in spreads? Thank you for your nice videos, he says. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the compliment. 10 Delta. I mein, there's a gazillion strategies, and you can choose whatever Delta you're comfortable with. But I think, our other strategies, we have higher Deltas typically. when we're selling those call spreads. But we've got programmatic strategies which deal with 10 delta. So I don't know, Richard, do you have a thought on that you want?
I think 10 deltas tend to be overpriced, but if you are wrong and the market moves against you, your 10 delta can get to 50 delta and your premium gets rapidly higher. So not for everyone. I think in markets like these, we like to start at 25 delta, don't we, or 30 or 20 delta? That's somewhere around there at the moment. But it's but it kind of changes according to market conditions. I hesitate to answer because I don't want to give advice. But in my experience, 10 delta calls tend to be a higher price than they should be, but because normally people are buying them.
Yeah, and I think that there's something to be said about using a 10 delta call spread strategy in traditional the S&P. That's a different animal than doing it in Bitcoin. Because we can sell 30 delta calls, and ask anyone who sells 30 deltas how often the odds are there's a 70% chance of that going in the money. It seems a lot higher, right? So it's just a more volatile asset. Question from Gene. Good to see you again, Gene. Started to trade in alt options. Okay. Do you have some advice with those? Notice my delta hedging there is costing me a lot of my profits. Absolutely. We do dabble and we do trade here on Deribit, sometimes on Solana and Ripple and Matic. But the spreads are big, and if you want to hedge, it's a little tougher.
I think we found that those are kind of more for bets really at the moment until there's more liquidity, right? For us anyway, because I think if you were to continually delta hedge, you'd lose money. Whether you were long or short.
Yeah, and I think patience is the key too there, because anytime you get these big spreads, you just got to sit there and wait, and it kind of sucks. Question from Andre: short puts keep rolling down or close? Which is smarter to do?
Smartest thing is to walk away and do something else for a living.
Never trade. Joking.
It depends, doesn't it? I mean, if you think you're in a sustained bear market, there's no point sitting there trying to fight it. You may as well just change sides and sell calls, right, or buy puts,
or roll it out into a strangle. If you're unsure, and you'll go a little further out and get that premium back real quick, because you feel better about your life. You go to bed that night thinking, okay, you know what, I've got some room now.
Yeah.
Unless
it immediately bounces the next day, in which case you think, why did I do that?
Exactly. Yeah. Instant regret is guaranteed.
But this is why I like to let the time premium come out before I roll, even if I'm in the money. I'd rather fight it by fight it in the money put by keep on writing calls, just so I can keep on sucking that time premium. Because if I've got to the point where there's no more time premium left in my short put, there's absolutely every justification for rolling it somewhere else, because I'm rolling it for more time premium. But if I roll it early, when there's still time premium in it, I can always be wrong about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's something I never did until I started trading with you. I would just roll it whenever, for whatever reason. But I usually didn't. If they're in the money, I didn't let the time premium bleed out. But now I tend to.
So it's less comfortable, right? Because you don't get that sense of relief because you live with it. Yeah. But it's
Yep. Question from Vladimir: you have in column setting extrinsic value of each option. It will show you how much premium I'll get.
Yeah, so I moved that to questions just because I wanted it to mentions. Yeah, so yes. You can. Do I have it here? There we go. If you go to here, columns. Oh no, I'm not sharing on.
You're not sharing, no.
So screen 2, share. If I do, so if I go to this button here, columns, and then extrinsic value there, then we can see that the extrinsic value this year, and you can see that my in the money put here at 64k has extrinsic value of 23 basis points, 24. So that's the time premium component.
All right. Let's see here. Question from Johannes. rolling in the money puts is going to cost a lot of margin, isn't it? Interesting. Our margin is at 27%.
Yeah, because we've got yes, that's right. We do have some cover in place on this 12th of June because that was actually a covered put spread, but not as much as you might think. It's no more margin than buying a future. So if you think of your in the money put as a long future, it's roughly the same or less margin. So as long as you are prepared mentally for the margin bill for that kind of level of leverage, then it's kind of okay. And we do sometimes also, probably today we won't do it, but maybe tomorrow when vols have died down, we'll go in and buy some short dated cover for 1 or 2 basis points per day of decay. I've actually got some speculative orders in here, which I put in just as the 7th of July contract came live, and the order book was empty. So we got in there and banged in a bunch of 1 basis point buy orders, but unhappily nobody swept us. That would have made our day if we don't.
That trick used to work more often.
I should remember to cancel these actually.
Yeah. A question from Paul: 10 delta difference between the short and long leg of the spread.
I see.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, whatever makes you feel comfortable. In the end, the spread dictates your max loss, right? So you've got to do your own mental calculation of what's my gain versus what's my max loss, and what's the probability of gain or loss.
Yeah, and I think most of our spreads we put up here, we do 10%. You know, you try and put our cover about 10% away from our short.
And we do it because essentially we're covering more for margin mitigation than loss limiting. That's kind of a fair position, right?
And Mo just followed up and he said, short 10, I got some long time expiry long calls and sell short calls weekly. So
yeah, fair enough. That's a similar trade, frankly, but without the drama.
Yeah. A question from Johannes. My stats since starting in January, 0.007 Bitcoin P&L, paid fees 0.0069 Bitcoin. Thoughts on that? Oh boy.
You have to get into a cadence, a fairly slow cadence with options, I think. We don't mind selling a 2 or 3 day expiry if it's against an in the money position, and then leaving it to expire worthless. So we'll only pay fees on one side of it. Otherwise, if we're selling a strategy for a week or a month away, we prefer to leave it alone. And that's another reason why I let time premium come out to 0 before I roll anything, because I just, it's so much easier to make money if you don't have to pay fees 4 times over, right? And it is what it is. You know, options are a very powerful tool, and if you get it right, you can make a lot of money. But yeah, they are more expensive than trading futures. That's just the way it is, I think. Worth mentioning that if you trade in bigger volumes, not that I'm here to shill for, well, I am here to shill for Deribit, but if you trade in bigger volumes, Deribit will give you better fees. But
yeah. All right. A question from Gene. Is there a way to utilize skew when setting a butterfly? I can't really get how it's supposed to impact it.
If you're selling a butterfly, you're going to, whatever you save on one side, you're going to pay on the other side, because there's a skew, right? So your one wing will be more expensive, one wing will be cheaper. So the way you utilize skew is you kind of ignore it because it evens out. And that's a nice thing about these balanced strategies like condors and butterflies. If you're trading positionally or pure vol, then you may want to use the skew and the smile, the curvature, to choose a strike, and whether you're going to buy or sell a call or a put, in order to maximize the vol you're going to sell or minimize the vol you're going to buy. In general, on Bitcoin markets, you kind of want to, if you're buying vol, you want to do it at the money, and if you're selling vol, you want to do it in the wings. Generally, that's at least my theory, just because of the steep smile. And if you see in general, beyond 1 month, there's a natural skew towards the calls, and in under 1 month, there's often a natural skew down towards the puts. If you see a strong skew to the calls inside 1 month, I am generally happy after a couple of days of that, seeing that, to sell calls into that. It's just my personal,
And just for anyone who doesn't know, if you want to see this information on the skew, you can go into your options data on your Deribit screen, or you can look at the volatility surface and you can see what's going on and what expiries. A question from Vladimir. Try not to trade very cheap options on Deribit since the fees are really high, 12.5%.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's high. It's only high if you pay it more than once, right?
And here's the thing: you can trade options on other platforms cheaper, but you're not going to get a good a spread usually. So it ends up sometimes balancing out or swaying one way or the other. It's kind of 6 this, half dozen of that. I don't know if you've got any more thoughts.
I in my sort of day job of devising and trading strategies for hedge funds, I trade on a couple of options exchanges, and while I will admit that Deribit is not the cheapest in terms of fees, it's definitely the best in terms of fills, because I can often get a fill at mid on Deribit because there's an iceberg order there, which I cannot get on other options exchanges that I won't mention, even though their fees are cheaper. So in actual fact, I do better on Deribit than I do on the other exchanges, despite the fees.
Yeah, it's worth saying that on a lot of other changes, it's very rare you get a mid-price fill. Very rare. And it's quite common with Deribit. Let's see here. So Vladimir, yes, you did clarify that big drawdown, 56K back in May, was expectations of World War III. Yes. Gene says, yes, 80 vol on weekends was interesting to have as a play, but my hedging, minus the insane spread, she's talking about the altcoins, cost me about 30% of my profits. Yeah, absolutely, Gene.
If your hedging costs you 30%, that's not bad, to be honest.
Good point, because we had stats. Sorry.
Yeah. When I'm systematically hedging to zero delta in my vol books, I'm often paying 65-70% of my time premium in hedging costs, and I'm walking away with maybe 30% of the time premium I've sold if I've sold options, and I'm happy with that. I'm okay with it because a win's a win, right?
Yep. Fantastic. I think that's the end of our questions today. I hope this was helpful. I know it's always tough on people. It doesn't matter how long you're doing this. It can still be tough when, it's just, grinding and it's gone against you. But, hey, markets go up, markets go down. We're going to have our up days, whether that's going to be this afternoon, tomorrow, next week, or a month now. We're going to have some big up days. It's Bitcoin. And don't get disheartened, kind of stick to your strategy. And we're trying to accumulate Bitcoin so that if Bitcoin goes up to 150K, we can cash in big. That's what we're trying to do. And we're just going to stick to that, whether Bitcoin, this goes down to 50K or not, or below. One last quick question here, I think from Vladimir. Imagine right now, it's not a question. Israel get hit again. At a moment, Bitcoin goes down to 30K. Yeah, I mean, it could. Anything could happen, right?
And my view on that is, let's keep this in perspective, right? We're just playing with money here. In Israel and Ukraine, people are paying with their lives. That's
right. Yeah. So we got no ET. We got no. That's real good English. We have no ETF buying today. So not much of a catalyst to push things up unless the other markets decide they want to move things up. They think it's been down enough and they don't want to get caught out. I looked at the liquidation heat map. Last comment we'll make here before we shut off, and there wasn't a lot of liquidation lower, so it doesn't look like people are it looks like the trading's pretty light, to be perfectly honest with you. Liquidations on both sides didn't seem overly heavy. So I think a lot of people are just sitting on their hands, and whoever's pushing this, we'll see if the Americans can push it back. So, oh, there's a heat map there.
I mean, there's more and more short interest building up on the upside. So
the longer it stays here, the more that'll happen, I think. People selling calls and just
So there's and then that if the market is just being toyed with by people with money, that gives them a target to go for. So you never know, right? So I'm actually hoping that my call spreads get in the money, because it means that I was right and that we can manage that.
And as everyone noticed, we double or triple covered those damn things off. So to roll them won't even be an issue.
Oh yeah, look, if we get like a 20% up move, which does happen once a year, then let's look at the margin thingy on options.
One quick thing I'll mention while you're looking for that is when we were pushing down, we had coverage, long put coverage. We sold that for a big profit.
Yeah. That was a good point. And then we went and bought cover a bit further on, didn't we?
Yeah.
So if we get a +4 move up with vol up, we'll actually gain 0.03 bitcoins.
Yeah. Fantastic. Hey, got some nice comments here. Thank you, Jap, saying that you like our stream. Really good. Johannes, thank you very much for those nice comments. It's good. Hey, we're here to provide moral support too. Trading's not always. Some days it's like the easiest thing in the world. It's like, is this real? Did I just make all this money? Are you serious? And then other days it's like, oh my god, this is impossible.
Sucks.
So, yeah, that's life. It goes. Markets go up, markets go down. So let's see what happens especially maybe not so much today, but maybe tonight and tomorrow when the U.S. comes back online. And until next Thursday. Happy trading. We'll see you then.